Hello, everyone. Today we have a student from the University of California, Berkeley. His name is William. And William, can you go ahead and please introduce yourself?
Hi guys, I'm William and I am a computer science major at UC Berkeley. I'm a rising sophomore and yeah, that's about it.
All right, sounds good. So, William, I guess you mentioned that you're majoring in computer science. So, why did you decide on that specific major?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, like it's a major that my parents heavily pushed me towards growing up in Silicon Valley. There was like a huge pressure for like a lot of like Asian males to go into computer science. Like
Hmm.
pretty much half my school is like are going into computer science. But yeah, that's what made me choose the major. For like the major itself, I kind of hated it at first, but ultimately um like through college I found that like I actually really enjoyed computer science.
Hmm. What would you say, you mentioned that obviously there's a lot of like family pressure into going into computer science. And yeah, I agree with you in the fact that, in Silicon Valley, it's such a huge like area for computer science majors to actually succeed in. So, aside from computer science, did you have any other side interests during high school?
Yeah, I was a huge like I basically devoted like half of my high school time to robotics, so I actually really wanted to be an electrical engineering or a mechanical engineering major. So that was like also part of like my vision, but ultimately my parents still pushed me towards computer science.
Hmm. Have you ever considered like mining or studying something of like those engineering fields still, or are you still
Um,
pretty
I
focused?
think the best thing about computer science in Berkeley is that it gives you access to all of the electrical engineering courses and you could take it for your major credit.
Hmm.
So the best
Okay.
thing is that even though I'm not electrical engineering and computer science, I'm not in the College of Engineering. Through the Letters and Sciences college that I'm in right now, I study computer science in there, right? But I can still take all of the electrical engineering classes and have it count towards my major. So like I could theoretically still do robotics and a lot of like stuff in that field.
Oh wow, yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, I mean, definitely it's something that's known for at Berkeley, their EECS program or just their entire engineering computer science section. So I think it's really great that you still have those opportunities to do those multiple things. Now, I guess, talking a little bit more about UC Berkeley, I guess why did you choose UC Berkeley?
Um, UC Berkeley was basically my dream school. It was the top school on my college list. Like, or actually, it wasn't. Actually, it was the top one. Basically, like, I did not apply to many schools. I applied to mostly UCs and a few private ones like USC, and like just like I think a few out of state ones like Carnegie Mellon, and UWash. I also applied to Stanford, but that one was a little too local for me, so I didn't exactly want to go. I just went down the U.S. News top computer science schools and just selected most of them. And I went to UC Berkeley because it was obviously the best school for education that I got accepted into.
Hmm.
It was a pretty obvious choice. My second choice was UC Davis, and
Hmm.
then obviously like for computer science, like UC Berkeley is like the number one computer, or it's tied with a bunch of other schools for the number one
Yeah.
computer science education, right? So it became a pretty obvious choice for me.
All right, that's awesome. And you mentioned that you didn't apply to many schools, but you did have some public and private schools, especially the
Yes.
UC system.
Yeah.
So, obviously you're attending a public university, which has a lot of differences with a private university. With the fact of UC Berkeley being a public school, did that play any factor of you choosing that specific college?
Definitely not, because like a personal belief of mine is that like like even though UC Berkeley does have like a lot of students and like it's a public school, right? There's definitely not as many resources um for like each student, but I feel like I felt like I was the type of guy to like even if I like didn't have that much support, I could find it around with my peers, so I could just like make my way through everything without like a solid advisor or something like that.
Okay, yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And I definitely ask this a lot to those public students because I know tuition's another factor and
Yeah.
the class size. There's a lot of factors playing into the difference between public and private universities. But yeah, it's nice to see that at least you're still able to utilize those resources. And I like how you mentioned that Berkeley was maybe not necessarily the top school, but was one school that you were very interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. So I guess I want to take a little step back. I guess go back a year to when we were seniors in high school,
Yeah.
applying to college. So I guess first and foremost, just talking about the college application process, how did you feel about it?
Personally, like I didn't have like a advisor, like like the people who like grade your not grade your essays, but like the people who read your essays and guide you through the
Yeah.
process. I kind of just winged it. um, which is probably why like I know a lot of my friends had like applied to like 25, 30 schools, and like
Oh, geez.
personally like I just kind of went the simple route, and I just did very minimal research. Um, I guess it worked out in the end, but like for like the college application process, I basically just followed what my friends were doing, and like I just asked them for like a lot of stuff. And for the essays, like not gonna lie, like I really procrastinated on a lot of those. I like looking back, I probably should have spent a little more time, but like the college application process itself wasn't very confusing because our school did have a lot of resources for that. Like all you do is ask someone and they point you towards everything.
Mm.
And all of our friends were basically on top of like basically they were really on top of everything, so I just had to follow them.
Okay. So would you say that your main source of like getting information or just an understanding of the college process was through your friends
Yeah,
and like,
definitely.
what about the the internet? I like how you mentioned earlier back when we were talking about like majors in Berkeley that
Yeah.
you looked at like US news rankings for
Yeah.
those. How much did the internet help you in terms of, searching and kind of researching for college?
Honestly, like yeah, like I basically looked at the rankings to see like what the best colleges were. Um like there's a billion different websites for that stuff, right? But like I primarily chose to research like it was like education over anything. Like in my it's my belief that I go to college for an education. Like of course there's like college life and stuff and that's all part of it, right? But the number one priority was education, so therefore I just looked down all of the top schools, and that was basically all of the research that I did.
Okay. So you didn't like research anything else other than like what was
No,
supposed to.
absolutely not. I didn't know anything about UC Berkeley because I did not think I would be getting in.
Okay. And
Yeah.
just curious, since you mentioned that like you kind of just like you basically mentioned you kind of winged it. Did you
Yeah.
have any like family members or like siblings that were already been through this process, or were you like the
Yeah.
first one in your family?
I have an older sister that went through the process. I think that definitely helped too. She basically got me started, although I didn't look to her that much for like the whole process itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was just still like even though you had like someone there, you still kind of just went your own
Yeah,
way
yeah,
with it.
basically.
Okay, that makes sense. And I guess in general, going back about it, you mentioned obviously the essays. They were like, you kind of procrastinated on them. Like,
Yeah.
I guess what was your opinion about the essays? Like, I know for like for example the UC system, they ask you to write four different like mini
Yeah,
paragraphs,
yeah.
and some privates have the whole Common App, and then there's
Yeah.
supplement essays. So I guess writing the essays, how did you feel about it? Were you able to convey how you personally felt about the question, or like give your honest response for it, or did you feel like you were writing to satisfy the college?
I think there were definitely a few prompts that I like that were definitely like easier for me. That like I felt I definitely like felt I responded to the prompt like really well.
Hmm.
And like it was probably like what like UC prompt number 5. It was like write about like a struggle in your life or something like that. Or it's like sometime you have to like overcome adversity. But like there were other ones like how did you build your community that like I really like kind of had to like I really had to bend the prompt to fit
Yeah.
my to fit my essay. So
Mhm.
yeah, there was definitely that.
Okay. And I guess just to wrap up the kind of entire college application process part of it, if you could have changed anything and gone back to senior year and redid the entire thing, would you have changed anything?
Um, sorry, there's someone ringing my doorbell. Oh, okay. So if I could change anything, I think I would like I wouldn't be so pretentious in the essays. Like
Okay.
like a lot like I think for the early ones for the one early decision one that I did for Stanford, I was trying too hard to be
Oh,
unique,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
And like I kind of discovered that for like the other essays. So like I managed to fix that, but like I tried too hard to be like edgy and like special
Oh, yeah, I see.
to stand out from the crowd, and that just wasn't me.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that. I think like when you first start out the essays, especially if you're a student that's applying early or
Yeah,
whatnot, I would say the first essays you kind of start out with is like your guinea pig test. Like you kind
yeah,
of, and then once you get into like the later ones, then you're like, okay, let me not BS it and let me actually like write what I passionately feel about.
yeah,
So yeah, I agree with you on that. Like I think it is true being pretentious and like especially the early essays, it does play a factor because
yeah,
we think that we want to write something that they want to hear
yeah,
rather than what.
exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I definitely really enjoy that. So I think now let's transition a little bit more to back into life at Berkeley and your college life experience. So obviously you mentioned that you're pretty close to like Silicon Valley or like just the general NorCal, right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say there's a huge disparity of going to Berkeley, but I would just ask that what was something that you got to do in college that you weren't able to do back in high school or your hometown, whether that be like an activity or just in general?
Oh, there's a lot. Like generally I had pretty strict parents, so like they wouldn't let me go out and like that stuff. So like basically like going to college, like you get a party like as much as you want. Like like everything is based on you, right? Like how well do you like how well can you balance like work and like your social life and how like and basically like you have like the freedom to do like almost anything you want, right?
Yeah.
So like there was like socially I was able to like you could stay up. Obviously there's like consequences to like staying up like till 6 a.m. and that stuff. You stay with your
Yeah.
friends and just chat and just hang out to say the least. But academically, like I think there's like a huge like wait, hold it. How do I put it? Like there's a lot of opportunities here that I just didn't see in high school, right?
Hmm.
Like I saw that like a lot of the things like I saw that like a lot of things that like the upperclassmen did were like very possible for me too. So I got like a lot more motivated and like inspired to do like to pursue like other extracurriculars while in like high school. A lot of like some of the stuff was like oh shit like like
Hmm.
it's like oh shoot like I really like I have to do this, right? I have to do
Yeah.
this for like the college application. But now like everything I do, all the academic extracurriculars, those are things that I want to do, basically.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that. I think
Yeah.
because in high school where it's very structured, you have to take the
Yeah.
same English, history, math, science, like kind of the ordered classes, and everything's so structured and it's almost like a pattern in that sense. But yeah, I agree with you that like once you get into college, you pretty much have the freedom to take your own classes. That's why you study your own major because you do have to take GEs and whatnot, but you can start focusing on subjects you actually enjoy doing. Now, I think another thing I want to touch up on UC Berkeley, and I actually asked a lot of your UC Berkeley peers this, is a lot of students in high school actually ask me whether or not the stereotypes about UC Berkeley are true. Like if it's academically challenging, if the areas, you know what I'm talking about. Like I can
Yeah,
see your
yeah,
face.
I got you.
Yeah. So, in your opinion, if you wanted to address any of the common stereotypes that you heard and like, how you personally feel about it, whether that be academics, the
Yeah.
social competitive or whatnot, like, yeah, if you can just address a couple of those.
So like I think one of the biggest things that turn people away from UC Berkeley is the fact that it's rumored to be like academically cutthroat, right?
Hmm.
That it's like cutthroat, like basically like people will like snake on you to
Yeah.
like get farther in life, right? And the fact is that like I like it's only like that if you surround yourself with people like that. There's definitely people like that in Berkeley. I felt like there are definitely people like that in high school. But the thing is
Hmm.
that the majority of people I see are like they're really helpful, especially the computer science community, because most classes in the computer science major aren't graded on a curve. They're graded on through with grading bins. So it doesn't matter how well your peers do. Like it's basically beneficial for you to help other people. So
Okay.
like everyone like whenever there's like a project, right? There's like a huge CS project too. There's
Mhm.
people lined up in the hallways just helping each other out, and
Oh
there's like
wow.
it's not like it's actually crazy, right? Like it's like it's definitely not what people think. Like, is it hard academically? I definitely say it's challenging. Like the
Mhm.
courses do push you to your limit, but the thing is, like I'm thankful that it does because like I'm like basically through these courses I've basically been able to do like I couldn't like basically like I could self study at home like all I want, right? Like code
Yeah.
is one of the coding like CS is one of those fields where you could theoretically study your way like study at home for like a few years and just launch yourself into the industry and it's fine. But the thing is that they accelerate like your learning so much that like you're at the end you feel like a coding god at the end of each semester. Like, you feel
Yeah.
like you've learned so much,
Uh-huh.
and like I'm honestly really grateful for that. Like yeah, sure, it's stereotyped to be like hard academically. That is true to an extent, like, but it's just not as cutthroat as people make it seem to be.
Okay. No, that's awesome. Yeah, I definitely there's another person I was talking to from Berkeley mentioning kind of the same thing as you that you mentioned that it's a matter of the people that you surround yourself with. Like if you
Yeah,
surround yourself with those cutthroat people, then you're gonna go into a cutthroat environment. But
yeah,
like you mentioned, there's a lot of helpful people, and I think it's really cool that, especially in CS, a lot of people associate CS with being a relatively difficult major,
yeah,
one that a lot of people go into because the job market, the opportunity, especially in like today's technology-driven world, it's pretty high up there. So it's really nice to see that at least in that specific field, you guys do have a sense of more cooperation than it
yeah.
might seem to be, and I think that's actually really awesome. So I think speaking on, mentioning that you have all these people that you surround yourselves with, how did you create this like academic or just in general, like the support system of like
Oh,
friends or roommates? Like what was your way of creating that support system?
so what's great about Berkeley is that they have a week-long orientation. Most schools only have like you go to orientation for like a few days,
Hmm.
like a few days during the summer, right?
Yeah.
But how Berkeley does it is that they have 7 days before school starts,
Oh wow.
in which all the freshmen come to campus,
Hmm.
and there's basically like guided orientation, and almost everyone I speak to made has had like they came out from orientation with like a friend group, right?
Hmm.
And that's how I found mine. Like I didn't find my I didn't find my friend group through like the like my orientation group. I actually found it in my roommate's orientation group, but
Uh-huh.
like the gist of it is the same, right? We have 7 days to like just bond. Like there's no academic pressure. Like you just socialize for seven days straight. You just like go
Uh-huh.
out and party and you just bond. And
Hmm.
you come out of that like you come into the academic semester with like a good support system.
Oh wow. Yeah, it's really awesome. And definitely think that, yeah, I've heard of that Berkeley really has that longer orientation, especially with my friends I know. They're
Yeah.
like saying, "Oh, I'm heading to school for Berkeley already for orientation." I was like, "Wow, that's so early." When for me, I was like, I had like I think a 2-day orientation, and then we had like the welcome week where you come in like a couple days early. But I mean, for
Yeah.
the most part, I think compared to yours, yeah, I'm actually really surprised. I never heard that Berkeley had such an intense orientation, or not intense, but like a pretty open and social
Yeah.
orientation. I think that's actually really great. So I guess another aspect of college is extracurricular activities, which I know Berkeley has like tons of them too, some that you have to apply to or whatnot.
Yeah.
So I guess if you want to explain some of the extracurriculars you're in and maybe touch up on one or two of them.
Okay. So during first semester I was in a consulting club.
Hmm.
I have no idea why I did it. It's normally for econ majors,
Hmm.
econ or business majors, but like I was like, hey, I want to give it a try, right? Because at that point I didn't know exactly if I definitely liked CS or not.
Hmm.
Because the best thing about like the College of Letters and Sciences in Berkeley is that you can change majors whenever you want. You just have to pass the GPA cap.
Hmm.
So like I was like, hey, I might as well give it a try. So we basically partnered with a company, and like we basically did business consulting for the company. So it's like a lot of market research and like business analytics and that stuff. Honestly, like that club, what probably wasn't the most helpful for me as a CS major,
Hmm.
but like I understand like it'd be super helpful as like a business major, and you also go into it like if you get into one of these clubs,
Hmm.
like there's like a huge like you get a community, right? Like
Yeah.
you get like a huge community of people who can help you like resume wise. Like these guys landed me like an internship. These guys like without them, I'd probably like have no idea what I'm doing
Hmm.
in like the job or like in the recruitment world. Um, Also like the second extracurricular I do, I um I actually play the carillon at Berkeley. So in the middle of Berkeley, there's like a huge tower called the Sailor Tower or the Campanile. It's basically a clock tower that has a bunch of bells inside, and the bells, and basically you could play the bells like you play a keyboard, except instead of like you know how you play the piano with your hands or your
Yeah.
fingers, right? You basically kind of like pound
Oh
like
wow.
a keyboard that you pound. Like
Jeez.
it's
Yeah.
actually pretty cool. I
Uh,
auditioned for that in January, and like honestly that's my favorite extracurricular. Like that's like one of like the best things like one of my favorite things at Berkeley, because like the Campanile is such an icon,
mhm.
and like not gonna lie, like doing that comes with like playing the Campanile comes with a lot of clout. Cause like if you think of Berkeley, right? Like if any UC Berkeley person thinks about Berkeley, the first thing they think about is the Campanile, because
Interesting.
it's,
Yeah.
it's such a landmark, right? Like
Uh,
and yeah, and like honestly, when you play it, you basically play for the whole school or like the
oh
whole
wow.
city, because like
Yeah.
everyone can hear you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because it's literally a bell tower, and yeah, that's my second extracurricular. I think extracurriculars in Berkeley are definitely like interesting because for a lot of them,
Hmm.
you have to like audition or like compete your way into.
Yeah.
Like for both of the ones I was in, like I had to. The first one, the consulting club, was actually like the auditions are pretty intense. You have to be really good at like talking to like you have to be good at talking to people. You have to network. You have to like pass through like 3 sets of interviews. It's kind of crazy. And
Hmm.
like a lot of the clubs in Berkeley are just like that. They're really
Hmm.
selective, and I think that's the one downside of going to a public school. There are some more like there are some smaller ones that will just accept anyone, but for like the majority of the famous ones.
Yeah.
Like it's super hard to get into. My consulting club wasn't actually that hard to get into, but I know for like a lot of the other ones, like all of the business frats, a lot of like the um other like what do you call it, professional fraternities, it's like a lot of people just try out every single semester and they just can't get
Oh,
in.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know that's definitely one. I know it was actually touched up on another video where they were talking about like that the extracurriculars at Berkeley can be pretty cutthroat, especially since it's a lot more of an application process. And I think in having
Exactly.
such a large school, they want to take as many people as they can, but there's only so much that they can manage to also
Yeah.
be efficient and still have a properly functional program. But yeah, no, I think it's really cool, like, especially your experience in playing the Campanelli at Berkeley. And yeah, I know that's pretty something that's Berkeley's known for. So I guess yeah, it does get associated with a bit of clout if you
Yeah.
say like, oh yeah, I played Campanelli for Berkeley. So yeah, I think that's really cool. I think just another question for you is, coming into college, what would you say was your biggest struggle, and do you believe that you currently have, like, did you overcome it, or are you still in the process of trying to resolve that struggle?
Yeah. So the biggest struggle of coming into Berkeley was like I think a majority of people at Berkeley get it. It's called, are you familiar with like the imposter syndrome?
Yeah, imposter syndrome. Yeah, for
So
sure. You
like
want to define it too. Yeah.
so basically Berkeley is like a pretty renowned school, right?
Hmm.
Educationally. So like they basically take like let's say like the top 10% of every single school. Well,
Hmm.
not every single school, but most schools. And you just shove all those kids in like a mosh pit. And all of a sudden like your kid like the average kid like who goes to Berkeley who's like used to being like in the top 10% of like all academics in like their high school, suddenly like they're average, or in my case like below average in a lot of the times, right? Like I looked at my electrical engineering like midterm. I was like, shoot, I like hikey scored in the bottom 30% of my class, and it's just something I wasn't used to. And like, there's also that factor that like everyone around you like is doing something crazy, right? Like
Yeah.
some kids developing like a crazy machine learning app that will change the world, and like they're like the same age as you, right? And you're like, what the heck? Like why
Yeah.
can't I do that, right?
Yeah.
and like and like you think that like you then like you end up thinking that you should be like that, and that you're wasting your time, and that you're a waste of space if you don't do that.
Hmm.
So because like everyone only shows their good side, um you end up thinking that you're way below average, and when in reality most people aren't doing that kind of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. I mean, I'm not CS, I'm in sciences like biology. And, there's a lot of students, especially for those that are pre-med, they're like, oh, they're doing this, they're already doing research, they're already like doing crazy things. And, you come into school being probably one of the top students, and you go into your school and you're like, oh my God, like these people are insane. Like
Yeah,
they're,
exactly.
they basically cured cancer at the age of 20. That's what it literally looks like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you that like, you know, yeah, it's something you get used to. It's kind of you have to accept it that you're not going to be that same kid. And realistically, those kids who are still doing perfectly fine, they have
Yeah.
their own flaws too. Like kids aren't perfect.
Yeah.
And who knows? A lot of people, maybe you're like a late bloomer. You're going to be where you think those people are at when maybe a couple years or a month down the road. But yeah, I definitely agree with you on
Yeah.
imposter syndrome. It's something that's pretty. I think it's just in any college in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll feel. Yeah.
And like basically like I think that like even I don't think I've like completely gotten rid of it, because like I still see my friends, they're doing all this stuff during the summer, and I feel really like motivated, as if I were missing out on it.
Hmm.
Like I have to do this, or else I'm just like
Yeah.
completely missing out, or I'm falling behind. And when in reality, like if I just took the classes at Berkeley, they're already like super accelerated.
Hmm.
I'm pretty much like I'm pretty much fine, right?
Yeah. You'll be okay.
But
Yeah.
it's just
Pretty
that
much.
like that feeling in the back of my head that like I have to do something like way extra.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that. It's definitely a lot, especially like if it almost comes to a point where you feel like you have to force yourself to do it, and that's when it makes it worse because if you're not genuine about doing these
Yeah.
amazing things, then you're not going to do well on them. So yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on the imposter syndrome part. And I guess just to wrap up the entire video, if you could give advice to high school students, whether that be about the college application process, the college lifestyle, or just life in general, what would you tell them?
Um, Probably I think like I struggled with like the fact that my parents wanted me to do a set bit of extracurriculars. Like they wanted me to do math competitions, they wanted me to do coding competitions, they wanted me to do like speech and debate, right? But the thing is that
Yeah.
like I never really cared for those. I skimped on meetings, like I just didn't like properly do them.
Hmm.
So, but like like I think it's about like finding your own extracurriculars and just finding what you like love. Like for me, it was robotics.
Mhm.
Like I voluntarily just went to like the shop or like the workshop like for like hours for hours every single day after school. And it's
Mhm.
like stuff like that that really kept me motivated throughout high school. And also like on like the same note, like don't do everything for the college application.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
come from like a school notoriously like cutthroat. Like I come from Monte Vista and like it just
Oh
has like
yeah.
a really bad reputation for like that kind of stuff. Everyone in there is doing everything just for the college application.
Hmm.
And like honestly just it's just not fun that way. You could find stuff that like can fulfill both. It could
Hmm.
be like something that you're passionate about and fulfills a college application requirement or like
Yeah.
something like that. But like definitely just like have fun in high school. You're gonna regret if like you just spent all of high school just like studying.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with you. At some point, so we're forced to do things, and there's pressures from family and friends to
Yeah.
do certain programs or take certain classes or whatnot. But yeah, I think finding that passion, because that's what makes getting through high school or even college a lot easier, because when you're doing something that you enjoy, the kind of the easiness of it kind of comes as a side effect of it. Like if you enjoy it enough, you won't see it as hard or challenging. You'll see it as actually enjoyable to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was definitely great advice. And obviously, we want to thank you so much for spending the time to
Oh yeah.
talk
No
with us.
problem.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, for everyone watching, we hope they get a lot of information. And yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. I'll see you around.